The first one we have here is a sentence mining question. And Eric says, I have heard that a lot of successful language learners, when sentence mining, mine every word that they don't know, regardless of the context, and go watch something that most likely has nothing to do with what they studied. Oh, no, that's two different clauses. Hang on, sorry. I have heard that I've heard a lot. So I can't read. I have heard a lot that a plenty of, what? No, wait, oh my God.
Ben, try better.
I'm so sorry. I have heard a lot that plenty of successful language learners, when sentence mining, mine every word that they don't know, regardless of the context. And they watch something that likely has nothing to do with what they studied, without subtitles, in order to grow their listening comprehension. Is this an effective way to go about sentence mining? Shouldn't they just stay in one domain and mine things related to that? That's the question, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so I think the key word in this question is effective, because there's this question of sort of like efficiency of what is the fastest way to acquire a group of words or develop comprehension. But similar to the parable of the tortoise and the hare, that only matters if you actually keep going. And so you got to do something that actually works for you and is sustainable and is interesting to you and will keep you motivated and moving forward in your process. In terms of that perfectionist mindset of like mining every single word that you don't know, there are some people that definitely have that. I think other people, that perfectionist mindset would actually sort of destroy their motivation. You know, they'd be learning lots of words that are not relevant. You know, I'm reading these sci-fi and fantasy novels right now, and if I were mining these words, like, yes, I could probably learn them, but these are words that I would never ever hear in casual conversation. I would never really use in my own life. So is it really worth me spending the time to study those? I think a lot of people also really struggle at the beginning of the process where they think, oh, I have to learn every single word. But like Clayton on our team says, it's like, you're not collecting rare Pokemon. The words that are important to learn will show up again. You don't need to learn every single word the first time you see it. If you try to do that approach, you're going to end up drowning in Anki debt, just because there are so many words to learn. So in terms of, you know, learning most efficiently, meaning spending a limited amount of Anki time on the words that are most important, the words that are most important are the ones that are going to appear over and over again. So if you are mining every single word you don't know, you don't actually know which ones are appearing over and over again or not. That being said, some people like the perfectionist mindset. They just really want to have every single thing, and it doesn't bother them if they end up doing like 2 hours of Anki a day, or if they're mining like 100 new sentences and cards a day. I personally would find that absolutely soul-crushing. So I would not do that. That would not be an effective study strategy for me. But you generally want to identify sentences that have enough context that you can understand the sentence without the sentences on either side of it. Though in some of the mining that I've done, I've actually mined like entire paragraphs of text rather than just the one sentence. And you generally only want to have one unknown word in the sentence or one unknown grammar point in the sentence so that you can just understand it when you look at the sentence, and you don't really have to think about the other stuff that might be happening. You know, that's not a strict rule. You can, of course, mine sentences with more unknowns, but it's harder to learn. There's more information that your brain has to deal with. So it's not so much like there is one effective process as much as there are a lot of different factors and levers and buttons that you can push and pull to improve your retention or improve your association and contextual awareness of the word, contextual attachment to the word, to improve your recall or make your recall even harder, to like force your brain to work harder for it. So there's a lot of different ways to think about it. You should you should play with a bunch of different methodologies and find the one that feels good for you. The one that felt good for me was I did a multi-pass mining approach where It was completely asynchronous. I would just mark every sentence where there was one or more unknown things that are in the sentence. And I would go through a TV show and mark every single sentence in that. And then I would export the list of all the unknown sentences to a spreadsheet, and I would not touch it for a week. And then I'd come back a week later and read through the sentences to decide which sentences were actually good candidates for sentence mining. And then I would review them for a period of time, and then I would re-listen to the same content once I'd had a chance to learn the relevant words. And so for me, I found that a really effective process because I was getting multiple exposures to the same word and within the same context. That being said, that is an optimization. You don't strictly have to do that. Common words will appear in many different contexts. You know, when we talk about learning a lot of words, we're talking about, 5,000 is sort of where we put the line to fluency. Really, I would say you should be aiming more to like 10,000. But the 5,000 words in the beginning stages are relatively common, and you should be encountering them relatively frequently, especially in the early parts of that, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000.
Yeah.
You should be seeing those words in a lot of different places across different domains. But yes, narrowing your focus to a single domain, it will be easier to master all of the words in that domain versus trying to split your attention between two different domains.
Hey, as you know, there's a lot of language learning advice out there, which can make it kind of overwhelming and difficult to actually get going on your own learning. If you feel like you're struggling to figure out language learning, you're not alone. It's an extremely complicated process with tons of different steps. If you're looking for a step-by-step guide to create the perfect language learning routine for you, then you have to check out our new course. We spent thousands of hours designing a simple and straightforward process that you can use to create your own personalized language routine that actually works. We understand that every learner is different and that you have to roll with the punches and adapt. Every day for 30 days, I walk you through everything you need to know to build an effective learning routine, no matter your circumstances. We give you the advice and resources you need to ensure your success, so you don't have to waste time looking for stuff to do and can focus on learning. And if any questions do come up, don't worry. We are always there to answer any questions and clear up confusion. And it's all backed by our 90-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. If, for whatever reason, something's not quite working for you, we insist you get every penny back. It's time for you to stop wishing that you could learn a second language. It's time to become the master of your language learning journey. Check out the link below to get instant access and start your journey today.